thank you for joining us for this week's edition of SUTV News. We start off tonight with a change in housing policy. There will be major changes when it comes to housing for the class of 2017, as the new students will be required to live on campus for their freshman and sophomore years at SU. The school's administration says that the move is in an attempt to increase academic success and encourage an already higher than average graduation rate. This new living mandate will also make less housing available for juniors and seniors on campus. And while the completed construction of high-rises will open up beds, upperclassmen should plan on staying in Siegel Square and UP if they want to remain in on-campus housing. And today, the university held a job fair in the Wacomico Room. The fair helped to get students in touch with local businesses that are hiring current students, upcoming grads, and those that are offering internships. Stephen Graves has that story for us tonight.
Well, students are currently walking around the Wacomico Room visiting the different jobs and organizations here for students. Now, the university always offers a job fair about 5 times every year, and they host companies from retail stores like Target and CVS to even nonprofit organizations.
This is a general job fair. So it's for jobs, for professional jobs, as well as internships. We have about 84 companies, and those companies are for-profit companies like a Target or Enterprise, and not-for-profit. So we have Holly Community, Dove Point. So those are not-for-profit companies, Boy Scouts, those kinds of things. Well, naturally, I think it's very helpful. Else we wouldn't do it. It's a lot of work. But honestly, if students come prepared with their resumes, they focused in on who they want to talk to, then they follow up with those companies. I mean, all next week we'll have employers coming to interview students who they've met here at the job fair. So I do think it is very successful.
Well, we are a third-party logistics broker, and what that means is our customers are people that have truckload freight to move, and then we work with a network of owner-operator truck drivers and small trucking companies to subcontract that freight out to them. So I'm looking for aggressive salespeople. Now, while we love people with a business major and a background with the sales club, that doesn't necessarily rule out any other majors. We have people from criminal justice and psychology and all walks of the education world that come to our companies.
Well, Target is really about leadership. That's really what we look for. We look for students that can be our future leaders to run our company. So people who are great with guests, great with people, who are engaged, ambitious. It's really, Target's looking for those type of people that are going to give our guests that great experience and help drive profitable sales for us.
Now, the university offers several more job fairs coming up later in the year. 2 specific ones are the Education Job Fair for education majors and the Summer Job Fair for freshmen and sophomores looking for jobs during the summer. In the Wacomico Room, I'm Stephen Graves with SUTV News.
And we will be sure to keep you posted when the university announces the date and location of the next job fair. Stop Hating, SU's annual campaign week kicks off this upcoming Monday. Stop Hating is a week of activities sponsored by SOAP. The goal of the initiative is to promote acceptance and diversity throughout the school community. This past Monday, the SGA hosted a banner painting in the Wacomico Room to help promote the week. Philippe Nunez went to the Wacomico Room to bring us that story.
SGA is hosting Salisbury's Stop Hating banner painting, an annual tradition that is in line with Salisbury's continuing an initiative to not only promote diversity, but to also make students aware of diversity on both a local and global level.
So Stop Hating is promoting diversity and breaking those stereotypes that we see on every college campus and even around the world. Obviously, people always have typical racial stereotypes, and where you're from, they stereotype by that. So we just really want to break those stereotypes. It's really important to us, and it's important to the campus as well.
A lot of different colleges were doing this week, and so we decided to bring it over here and incorporate it in Salisbury. It's open to all organizations, all RSAs. Right now we have a diverse group of organizations on campus.
We're the Education Club. Stop Hating to us is more of, it could be even a racial thing of stop hating and just integrate this idea of that everyone is equal and we should give everyone the same chance, especially in education. It's very important that everyone is the same equal level. No one student should be better than the other. We should treat them all the same.
We just like to help anybody who's in need, no matter what their race or where they come from, and we also like to encourage anyone who wants to join in with us to do any type of volunteer work around here.
Well, so what does Stop Hating mean to your club as a whole?
Well, it means that we stop hating everybody because we love everybody, want to help everyone.
Well, you girls sound fantastic.
That reporting. And there is great news from the President's office for those who listen to Delmarva Public Radio. President Eschbach has proposed to relocate the struggling radio station to space near the East Campus complex. If the move is approved by the Salisbury University Foundation, the station would be in its new location during the summer prior to the demolition of Carruthers Hall, which currently houses WSCL and WSDL. The proposal also calls for a new business plan that would help save the station money. The news is so welcome because there was a major concern that the stations would cease to exist once Carruthers went down. We will be sure to keep you updated on the facts of Delmarva Public Radio. And Sunday night was the big night for the film industry as the 85th Academy Awards were held at the historic Dolby Theater in Hollywood, California. Kim Newcomb covered the big night for us.
We're here at Commons asking students for their reactions to the Academy Awards this past Sunday night. So what were your reactions to the Oscars?
I was really pissed off that they kept showing Kristen Stewart. I mean, her facial expression the entire time was just like, why am I here? But I was only really watching for Anne Hathaway and Jennifer Lawrence.
What was the biggest surprise to you?
Quentin Tarantino winning for Django.
Well, I think the biggest surprise was that Jennifer Lawrence won for Best Actress because she's only recently really made it that big in Hollywood. My favorite part of the awards is probably seeing them do the montages of all the Best Picture films because I haven't seen a lot of them, and it's always cool to see them in montage form, I guess.
Kim, I didn't watch the Oscars and I haven't done too much research on it, but I hear that there weren't too many surprises this year.
That's correct, Eli. As the winners were announced, none of them seemed to cause a big stir among the audience members. There were a lot of talented nominees, but I think that people already had ideas in their heads of who were going to get the Oscars, and those ideas proved true. The final Oscar of the night for Best Picture put a lot of great films up against each other, but even then I don't think people were surprised when Argo won.
I understand there's been a little bit of criticism towards the host Seth MacFarlane. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, actually, there have been both negative and positive reviews. Some of the negative reviews have come from women activists who just don't think that his jokes are appropriate and they don't find them humorous. But there were also positive reviews telling us that he did a great job and that we should have expected this because he was part of the production of Family Guy and he's the voice in Family Guy. So we should have expected the inappropriate humor.
And Kim, while I have you here, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with Miss Teen Delaware?
Yeah, Melissa King, who was crowned it last November, has now resigned because of allegations that she was featured in an adult video. And it's unclear whether or not she's actually in the video, but it's damaged her reputation enough that she just took a step back and decided that she wasn't going to go through with it.
All right, well, thank you so much for that, Kim. And on Tuesday, soap bought Ty Barnett and Alicia Wood, comedians that have been featured on shows such as NBC's Last Comic Standing and Comedy Central's Comic View. David Cabrera went to the event and brings us that story tonight.
See that? I got kids, so same mom. Are you serious? You better take a picture of him.
Students packed the Badu Auditorium to see a comedy show sponsored by Soap, featuring two nationally renowned comedians, Alicia Wood and Ty Barnett.
Have you ever had your head so full of snot that you were like, if I could contribute this to a charity, I'm sure I could fund something? Do you know, that's how my ears are just completely blown out from being on that puddle jumper that brought me into your gloriously huge airport that you have here. We landed, I was like, is this a terminal? They're like, no, that's it. I'm like, wow. You'll be seeing that on Instagram later, I can tell you that right now.
It was a great show. The audience had a lot of energy for this being this late, but the comedians were great.
My position on Soap is comedy chair, so I deal with all the comedians that come here, all the acts in that department.
A lot of bridges to get here, a lot of bridges. And I was like, long bridges to where I'm sitting there thinking, if a disaster were to strike right right now, I would be jacked, dude. So, other than that, it was awesome. But it's scary because I drove over a bunch of bridges.
Oh, you know, I don't know. I was impressed though with how people laughed about the airport because you guys have the smallest airport I've flown into, and I've flown into some small airports, but it's literally just 2 doors and a thing in between them. You know, like it's the smallest airport ever.
I loved it. I love every time the comedians come here. That's my favorite part of things to do on campus, is to go to the comedians.
My man Todd came on. He just shut it down from beginning to end.
It was a great ending.
I felt like he had a great climax, and then he ended it on a good note. So, but both acts were really good. No boos from the crowd, so that was nice to hear.
From the Purdue building, this is David Cabrera for SUTV News.
The past few days have been eventful ones for SU athletics. SUTV sports reporter Kat Murphy joins me with an update.
The defending national men's lacrosse champions fell to the number 10 spot in the United States Intercollegiate Lacrosse Association on Monday. Despite the fall, the Salisbury men's lacrosse team put a W back in the win column on Saturday afternoon with a 7-5 victory over Widener University at Siegel Stadium. They also crushed McDaniel today with a score of 16-3. Senior midfielder Eric Kluge led the goals to help improve the team record to 3-2. Baseball found their first loss against Cortland State Sunday, but then came back to beat them in a doubleheader. The Capital Athletic Conference tournament came to an end for the Salisbury University men's basketball team when they lost to Wesley in the semifinals. Despite the loss, Trayvon Van led the team with 24 points and was also named the men's basketball All-CAC first team, scoring an average of 19 points per game. His teammate, Tim Harwood, was named second team. The women's basketball team also fell in the CAC semifinal game against Marymount with a final score of 61-46, officially bringing basketball to a close for Salisbury University. That's all for SU Sports. Back to you, Eli.
Thank you, Kat. And in this year's State of the City address, the mayor touted progress made in decreasing the city's crime rate and outlined some of his ideas for bringing more business to Salisbury.
The city charter requires that I give the State of the City address. So I start by saying that the state of our city is strong. The state of our city is strong. It is true that all Part 1 crimes, all 8 Part 1 crimes, are now at the lowest they've been since 2004. And Salisbury has helped the state of Maryland and Governor Martin O'Malley and the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention reduce Maryland's crime rates to the lowest they have been since we ever started taking crime statistics in the early 1970s. And draw a ring around the downtown and make that an EDU-free zone, because that is what we need to bring development, mixed-use development, jobs, apartments, condos, restaurants to our downtown area. And we must continue the fight to make sure that we are using our commodity, which is our waterfront property, which too many people are still parking on in our city. I say to you that the state of our city is strong because, as you can tell from all aspects, we are pushing and moving forward at a rapid rate. And that is what we do every day at City Hall. So
the mayor's opponent in this year's election admits that he's made great strides when it comes to crime, but says that it takes a businessman to bring business in. He also says that the mayor has not made good on many of the campaign promises of 2009. Joe Alborough, the opponent to the mayor, is someone who we sat down with as a part of the Meet the Candidates segment.
Well, Eli, I've spent the last 8 years with Salisbury News critiquing and criticizing the different leaders in Salisbury, and I felt after 8 years of criticizing, someone needs to step up and actually introduce a different vision and a different kind of leadership for Salisbury.
And if elected, what would be number 1 on your agenda?
I would start with crime. Crime still has a long way to go here in Salisbury. You know, we've got a great chief of police. We certainly need to give her more time to get things right here in Salisbury, but we're on the right path, and I think that's going to be the number 1 thing we need to work on. And my intentions with downtown Salisbury are really to turn it into more of a Bourbon Street New Orleans. I want to get rid of the parking meters downtown. That's one of the first things I want to do if I can get it done. I want to invite people to come downtown. We're working now, Salisbury working on a bike trail from Salisbury University to the downtown. For what? What's there? When are you going to come? We'd be better off coming up here. We'd have more things to do coming the other direction, coming out your way to Salisbury University, than you would going downtown. So that has to be revitalized.
What are your plans, if elected mayor, to how to handle Salisbury University?
Well, certainly it's an incredible partnership. I would work with the leaders in Salisbury University in every which way I possibly can. We have to encourage that. It's a good question, and one of the things that concerns me the most is, have we really seen leaders working with Salisbury University? Do you want the students to come here from all over the country to go to school and leave? Why hasn't the leadership figured it out yet that we need to create manufacturing jobs, good paying jobs, technical jobs like stem cell research and different things? You know, I'm seeing Salisbury University do more work than the city of Salisbury is doing for Salisbury University. I see the opposite. I'd love to change that.
As always, you can watch the full interview on our YouTube page, Salisbury TV. Mr. Albero will face incumbent Mayor James Ireton in the city's April 2nd election. The city council primaries turnout was the lowest it's been since 2005. Most of the votes have been counted in the city's cycle, but with 100 absentee ballots, there are still a chance that some other people could come out on top. Incumbent Shani Shields is ahead in District 1, defeating Cynthia Polk and April Jackson. The general election in the district will be a rematch between Shields and Polk, who lost by only 1 vote in 2009. And Jacob Day walked away from Tuesday's election with a landslide win over incumbent and council vice president Debbie Campbell. Day secured 63% of the vote, while Campbell came in at a distant second with 21% of the vote. Charity CEO Jack Heath took about 16% of the vote, which wasn't good enough to send him to the April 2nd election. And Chuck Hagel was confirmed after a difficult confirmation battle and an ugly exchange in the Senate hearings on Capitol Hill. President Obama's choice for Secretary of Defense was approved by a 58-41 vote, which for the most part went right down party lines. When Hagel takes over, he will be the first Vietnam veteran to head the department. The former Republican senator is a Purple Heart recipient and will be replacing outgoing Secretary Leon Panetta. And for this week's Campus Spotlight, we are highlighting the SU Theater Department as they debut their annual spring production this weekend. Learn Aaron Lowe's Camelot will be directed by the theater department head, Paul Pfeiffer, who played King Arthur as a high school student. Tickets are currently on sale at the box office in Fulton Hall for the play, which will have its first production at 8 p.m. in Holloway Hall starting this Friday. The first performance is free for students, and you can catch it for the next 2 weekends. Be sure to tune in next week as we do a more in-depth story and go behind the scenes of the play. And for all of us at SUTV News, this is Eli Motlin reporting for TETC. Thank you for joining us, and good night.